Good afternoon, honorable members. Honorable members, when the business of this House suspended for the luncheon break, the honorable member for Long Island was in the middle of his contribution. The chair now recognizes the honorable member for Long Island.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, before we concluded, I've begun to talk about works that we were undertaking at the Water and Sewer Corporation. And I can tell you, that over the break, my people were expressing their excitement on hearing the wonderful news that the tender for the terminal building will be going out in a week, and the tender for the runway of the new airport in 2 weeks, according to Director Asman. We're all quite excited about that and what it represents for the people of Long Island. Mr. Speaker, I was stating that WSC had engaged in master planning where we could make determinations and develop a family island water supply development strategy, which was supported by a $250,000 allocation from the Inter-American Development Bank. This study provides the basis for a countrywide water supply strategy for all of the islands and an updated approach to servicing the family island. I also indicated that this strategy will incorporate principles of sustainability and climate change. And so, pursuant to the study acknowledges that we'll need some $50 million to firmly execute a full family island strategy to extend water to all of the islands and to bring many of our islands into the 21st century. As I indicated earlier, the future of the Bahamas is in the family islands. Mr. Speaker, I believe that my colleagues would be pleased to hear some of the works that we have undertaken throughout the archipelago and in their various constituencies. In Abaco, since Hurricane Dorian impacted the island of Abaco and Grand Bahama in September 2019, a major focus has been on emergency response in the Abacos, the Keys, the restoration systems that were extremely damaged, system maintenance, and now system reconstruction. Today, WSC has awarded contracts for vehicles, equipment, new facilities, restoration work, and services to the tune of some 15+ million, and anticipate needing another 14 million to complete our reconstruction and restorative works in Abaco. In Abaco, Mr. Speaker, we've undertaken various projects. For example, extensive water distribution system improvement works for Marsh Harbor and Treasure Key. New desalination plants for Moores Island and Sweetens Key. 2 110,000 gallons per day desalination plants and spare parts for Abaco and supply of standby generators. Demolition of damaged and destroyed storage tanks and supply and installation of new storage tanks for Marsh Harbor, Treasure Key, and Grand Key, and repairs now ongoing in Green Trail Key. But we also had to repair the Green Trail Key storage tank. New fleet vehicles, heavy plant and equipment, a new office and operational building, new furniture, new computer equipment, clearing and replacement, fencing work, preparatory work for building refurbishment and replacement projects, and major refurbishment of the sewage systems in Treasure Key and Spring City. The Marsh Harbor well field and pumping station solarization project, the joint venture between WSC and the non-governmental international organizations Water Mission and the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, To date, the estimated total project cost is some 2.5 plus million, and it is anticipated that this project will be fully completed and commissioned in a few months. We're aiming for another month or two to represent, I think, the first solar farm in all of Abaco, certainly the first for the Water Source Corporation. This will be able to build resiliency, supply the corporation with power to run its various apparatuses whenever we encounter any future hurricane along the lines of Hurricane Dorian. Despite progress made to date, though, WSC estimated that another 15 million is required, inclusive of 8.5 million in sewage work for Treasure Key and Spring City, inclusive of a modern tertiary level wastewater treatment plant for Treasure Key that would be capable of providing irrigation quality reused water for the Treasure Key Gulf Coast. 2.7 million in additional water mains improvement for Marsh Harbor and Treasure Key. 2 million for the solarization of Treasure Key pumping station and well fields. 300,000 for ongoing electrical work at the Marsh Harbor pumping station, and 400,000 to properly secure Green Trail Key underwater pipeline. Speaker, done quite a bit of work on Andros as well. In South Andros, we laid 163,130 feet pipe to the tune of some $6.7 million. We're looking forward to being able to commission that, turn that water on in the coming weeks. We've upgraded the Bluff South Andros well field supply to reduce red water and improve water supply quality from the Bluff to Drake's Hill, South Andros. We also completed new water mains, Nickel Sound, Master Point, and Pound Sound, Andros. This included some 5,000 feet, 6-inch PVC, some 49,000 feet, 4-inch, some 14,500 feet of 2-inch pipe, and some 600 laterals. Upgraded key operational valves, well field piping, and associated fittings. We've done this to improve the operational efficiency and service reliability in Boeing Sound, Central Andros. We also installed a new 5,000-gallon tank in Cargill Creek, Central Andros for improved system reliability. We procured a new chlorination system for North Andros for more efficient operation, and that installation is now being coordinated. Speaker, we're undertaking major system upgrades and mains extension in Mangrove Key, Stanyard Creek, and we're undertaking additional mains extension in South Andros, that is between Smiths Hill and Mars Bay. Elutra. Speaker, we've undertaken the refurbishment of the Bogue Elutra well fields at North Elutra to provide for interim water relief, or water quality relief, and long-term well field sustainability for North Elutra. We've upgraded the distribution system on Harbor Island to eliminate poor water circulation and improve water quality. We've also installed a new pump station, piping, and distribution pumps for all of North Elutra to complement the completion of a new 600,000 imperial gallon per day reverse osmosis plant. And those upgrades came at the cost of $250,000. Elutra today totally supplied by RO water. Speaker, we've completed a new commercial office in Governor's Harbor, Elutra, for better customer service and staff efficiency. We've seen the procurement of automatic purging systems for the entire island of Elutra for more efficient systems, maintenance, and operation. These are now being systematically installed at an estimated cost, total cost of some $100,000 upon completion. Recently, about a week or so, we sent a new water tanker to South Elutra to assist with emergencies and unserviced areas that our distribution network might not already get to. We installed the new storage tanks and pump stations at the naval base in Central Elutra. Speaker, I expect the impending installation of a new 250,000 imperial gallon reverse osmosis plant in Waterford, Luttrell. That plant I expect to receive in the coming days. And that will be then dispatched to South Luttrell. Cat Island. You know, Speaker, I think if Columbus came, anyone who watched those period movies, those period pieces, there's the fella up in the mast, that little thing that, the lookout. He says, land ahoy. I think if he comes now and someone says land ahoy, they can identify Cat Island. That's Cat Island. Or San Salvador, whatever they termed it then. Right? Much the same condition it was when he left. Pretty much in the same state. Very little work done in Cat Island. But I can say to people of Cat Island that we have signed a contract for $3,143,978.13 for 62,350 feet of pipe. Or converted to inches, Mr. Speaker, 748,200 inches of pipe for Cat Island. This will be the extension of water mains in Cat Island, signed in December. This will be the extension of water mains for Cat Island for the first time in history. And we look forward to breaking ground, to the trenches moving in Cat Island next week. The equipment is now on island. Mr. Speaker, we've also developed a scope of works for Cat Island. We've also developed a scope of works for Cat Island. Mr. Speaker. Well, I invited them to be the last time Southern George, and he didn't show. But we've also developed a scope of works for Cat Island, and that will take into account 2 reverse osmosis plants will be installed on that island to service each of the lots that's being done. There's no stuff. Brand new, nothing. Brand new for the first time. Out the package, Southern George. Exuma and Ragged Island. Mr. Speaker, despite the pandemic, commercial operations have experienced an increase in new service connections in Exuma. The number of customers growing rapidly. Speaking of Exuma, distribution system improvements have been completed to complement the road paving program in coordination with Ministry of Works. We've also seen the installation of additional reverse osmosis production capacity on Ragged Island to meet the current and foreseeable future water demands on Ragged Island. In fact, we own that plant. I think we've tripled the production capacity in Ragged Island. Speaker, we've also had improvements to the water distribution network and production operations in Black Point. There's an impending renewal of Georgetown water line that's going to be done soon. My good friend from Exuma. And we're also looking at a couple other projects in Exuma. But I can also say, Mr. Speaker, that I'll be visiting Exuma in the coming weeks to attend some of those meetings and to see some of the issues, that were raised, try to craft the plan of how best we could address them. Because we have a holistic plan with no island going to be left behind. Speaker, make one up. Michael, you here? Yes. We have installed a new Myers pump in Abrams Bay to be hooked up to a portable generator so that water could still be distributed from the plant during power cuts. These distribution upgrades will aid in providing continued service to customers in the event power loss. Accolades. We've improved water tanker delivery to Hard Hill and other areas due to a new tanker that was sent to Acklin. Given the issues with electricity, there's an electrical issue, we've elevated the electrical switches in Lovely Bay to prevent damage from flooding there in future. We've also installed new valves at the high tank in Lovely Bay. And, Michael, to you, Mr. Speaker, we have a RO plant that is about, brand new RO plant that is about to be installed in Auckland. The impending installation of a new RO plant. Oh, yes. Mr. Speaker, in Crooked Island, we have completed a multi-million-dollar TDB water mains project, which will be commissioned in the coming months. That project came at a cost of more than $2 million and saw some 25,175 feet of pipe laid that will service some 100 new connections. We have the impending installation of a new RO plant in Crooked Island as well, Michael, to you, Mr. Speaker, to complement this project. In Salvador, we have sent over the last week or so a new 110,000 gallon Voice of Moses plant to San Salvador. Correct. And that will be installed over the coming days and weeks. Let me also say that we have completed the pipe work, the water supply infrastructure in San Sal, and we commissioned that in January 2019. Everybody would remember that. Those works were done at a cost of some $1,399,509.84 and saw some 51,100 feet of pipe laid in San Salvador. In Agua, Michael, you're going to like this too. And in Agua, we have the impending installation of a new 110,000 imperial gallon Reverse Osmosis plant that is already purchased and owned by the Water and Sewage Corporation. So look for that in the coming days and weeks. Bimini, we have commenced reverse osmosis of supply from a new provider with a reduced price, the cost of water saving hundreds of dollars, or thousands of dollars possibly per annum. So we're trying to arrive and conclude a contract there with the intervening party so that people of Bimini could continue to have good service, good water quality in Bimini. Mr. Speaker, WSC continues to work closely with the Ministry of Public Works, upgrading our underground infrastructure prior to road paving exercises. Since May 2020, WSC has completed improvement works along the following New Providence streets and areas ahead of any road paving. This is since May 2020. Nassau Street, we laid pipe and other improvement works at a cost of some $560,000. And this saw 4,360 feet of 6-inch PVC pipe installed and the replacement of 55 water service laterals prior to road paving. Northwest Ridge Estates, at a cost of some $152,000, this saw 96 water service laterals replaced and 12 service laterals disconnected to the main prior to the Ministry of Works carrying out road paving exercises. And Speaker, you can like this one. Alexandria Boulevard East, at a cost roughly $10,000. We installed 840 feet of 4-inch PVC pipe, replaced 6 service laterals prior to paving. Washington Street, we spent some $74,000 and installed 1,780 feet of 2-inch PVC pipe and 43 water service laterals This area had old iron mains. Okay, Miss Angleton, she's in here. Old iron mains, and these old iron mains had to be replaced due to water quality complaints. That should please the member from Angleton. Kalani is not here, but Kalani would want to hear this part. WSC has recently completed phase 1, Tropical Garden, and they passed that portion of the area on to the Ministry of Works for road paving. Works have begun on phase 2 of Tropical Garden. WSC is nearing the completion of major works in Nassau Village, having changed all of our water infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, along the main Alexandria Boulevard and Alexandria Boulevard East. And I know Nassau Village, your constituency. Works are being planned. Commencement in the coming weeks along Bamboo Boulevard, Claridge Road, Mermaid Boulevard, St. Vincent Road, Donahue Terrace, and Kenya Avenue. Mr. Speaker, our construction and marketing team, working with the Over the Hill Development Unit and the Office of the Prime Minister to increase portable water connectivity to residents in the Over the Hill area. The pilot project works are scheduled to commence along Bowler Avenue and Quaco Street in the next few weeks, as we will install new mains and or upgrade existing mains and work with residents who have never had a portable water supply. So for the first time, given a lot of firsts, Southern Shores, for the first time they can get connected at a government subsidized rate. For those who previously had a connection but are now disconnected due to financial hardship, they will receive a government subsidized rebate to return the WFC water supply. The results of this pilot project will direct the expansion of this project into other parts over the hill. Mr. Speaker, WFC has rehabilitated 10 sewage pumping stations, including the installation of 1,000 feet of gravity connection mains and other related work, which included earthworks, concrete works, electro-mechanical work, installation of standby generators, and landscaping work. The 10 lots completed were Nassau Street, Rawson Square, the Supreme Court, Vista Marina, Lewis Street, Fox Hill, Pinewood C, Pinewood Plant, Flamingo Garden C, Southern Shores, and Big Pond Station, Mount Moriah. I believe Big Pond is in Victoria, Mount Moriah. Well, that's what's in Barnabas. Okay. Additionally, the contract calls for the procurement of 48 sewage pumps, 5 standby generators, and 28 control panels for use at various locations. Mr. Speaker, over the years, we have also undertaken major work that consisted, and I'm talking on the sewer side, that consisted of 4 work packages. And those included the Fox Hill wastewater treatment plant, some $1.7 million. The Malcolm Park wastewater treatment plant, some $8.47 million. The Linden Finland International Airport, Linden Finland International Airport wastewater treatment plant, and that was at a cost of some $3.12 million, and the Flamingo Gardens wastewater treatment plant, Southern Shores, and that was some $3.16 million. The status of construction, frankly, is that they are largely complete. These 4 pump stations cost combined some $16,466,242.97. Soon, we're looking to commission Fox Hill, Malcolm Park, Linden Finland International, and Flamingo Garden. Mr. Speaker, files are a funny thing. You'll be amazed at the things that you'll find when you look into them, when you properly peruse them. I look for files all the time. Recently, In times past, I was looking for some files relating to the sewer network. Interestingly, an IDB loan was taken out with respect to the sewer upgrade. This was to also include the enhancement to the Gladstone Road wastewater treatment plant. Of course, at the time, in the previous administration, they were told, take Gladstone Road out. Don't put that in. So there was a plan to enhance the Gladstone Road wastewater treatment plant under the IDB loan. But strangely, that was separated from it. All of these components, we had these 4 pumping stations done, but we know the story as it relates to Gladstone Road was not under the regulatory confines and oversight of the IDB. When you spend their money, they have independent parties also monitoring that. Instead, the then government opted to give the work to a private contractor and took out a $15 million loan with NIB. You see what happened with that. These are things that make you go, So, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I also saw a very interesting post or letter today and yesterday. Saw a member for Cat Island crying foul to Facebook, requesting that Facebook block the site. I just find it interesting. I think it smacks of hypocrisy and insincerity when the member for Cat Island is alleged to be affiliated with certain sites that have probably attacked almost every member in this house. I found that to be the height of hypocrisy and insincerity, and most certainly intellectually insulting. So when I read it, it was almost laughable. So with those last words, Mr. Speaker, I support the midterm budget. I thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Member. As many, the Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Central Grand Bahama.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, colleagues. He detailed every inch. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Yes, what? I remain honored and humbled for being given the privilege to stand within these hollow halls of the House of Assembly. Yes, Mr. Speaker. I've been granted this singular honor to represent the hardworking, industrious, and determined people of Central Grand Bahama.
Members, let us hear the member for Central Grand Bahama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Who are like me, seeking to build a better Bahamas for all. In Central Grand Bahama, Mr. Speaker, we have gained a lot. We've realized a lot of successes, and I'd like to highlight just a few. One of our prize projects is part of our backyard farming initiative, and it's called the Our Garden at Bahama Services. I want to thank all of the volunteers, all of the donors who have been participating in this program, including our students who have been getting community hours by volunteering and also gaining knowledge that they would have taken home to their various families, and they're now growing their own herbs, garden herbs for salad. And as a result of this, we're trying to find ways for the constituents to financially benefit. So on April 10th, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 2 p.m., we'll be having our first farmers market. So persons from the constituency and all over Grand Bahama who will be growing crops in their own yard, you can come and You can rent a booth or buy a table, and you can sell your produce. So you can gain some financial reward from your own backyard. You know, the community garden at the Royal Oasis, a once overgrown and unsightly mosquito and other infested area, is now turned into a gem. We have turned it into a garden where community events will be held, and we're in serious negotiation with the owners to have a part of the property turned back over to the people of Grand Bahama and by extension the Bahamas. And I want to highlight a very gifted sculptor in the person of Mr. Brian Maycock. Those who would have visited our community garden at the Royal Oasis, you will see life-like carving into trees, living trees, carvings of birds, frogs, turtles, any number of things, people into the trees. And what is so amazing about this young man is, without sketching, he creates the image in his head and he manifests it on the tree. So I want to highlight Mr. Brian Maycock, and may God continue to bless his hands. And as I speak about food, I also want to say thank you to my good family member, Terrell Tynes Wilson, and the Trees That Feed program. That's an initiative that is coming to this part of the world where persons will be engaged in planting trees that feed. And I will not go too deep into that. I will allow the Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources, the Honorable Member from Marcus City, to expand on that project. Mr. Speaker, when I last addressed this Honorable Assembly, it was in my capacity as the Minister of State for the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness, Management, and Reconstruction, a position which I held for some 17 months until my recent appointment this past Monday as the Minister of Youth, Sports, and Culture. I wish to thank God for this opportunity to be a part of a very compassionate, caring, and focused government as we continue to build a better Bahamas, a stronger Bahamas for all. I also express my sincere appreciation to the Most Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Hubert A. Minnis, for reposing the confidence in me to assist in delivering the commitment made by this government to the Bahamian people. As I transition, I wish to provide a brief statement on my stewardship as the Minister of State for the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness, Management, and Reconstruction and its sister agencies, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and the Disaster Reconstruction Authority, the DRA. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness, Management, and Reconstruction was formed to provide the focused attention that is required to address, among other things, the many challenges we face that are associated with climate change in the Bahamas as part of the global community. Changes in the global climate increases climate hazards and amplify the risk of extreme weather disasters. Increases of air and water temperature lead to rising sea level, supercharged storms, and high wind speeds, such as we have experienced with Hurricane Dorian in September 2019. Climate change has been associated with more intense and prolonged drought and wildfire season, heavier precipitation, heavy rain, and flooding. And one of the things to note because of climate change is that there's a sea level rising about a quarter, about an eighth of an inch every year. So in my short 50-something plus years on this earth, the sea has risen some 7 inches higher than it was when I was born. So I can imagine how many inches the road since Golden Gate and Garden Hills would have been born. In my 56 years, I was indicating that there's a one-eighth of an inch in sea level rising every year. And in my 56 years, we have experienced some 7 inches of sea rising in the Bahamas. So that's all right. Yes, I'm 56 in a couple of days. And so I'm saying for Garden Hills, you must have realized about at least a foot since he was born. But it speaks to the seriousness of climatic change. With assistance of the University of the West Indies and the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness, Management and Reconstruction, in collaboration with its partners, has developed a national resilient recovery policy. The National Resilient Recovery Policy establishes guidelines for recovery planning and operations and outlines the required organizational and institutional framework to achieve the Bahamas' resilient development goals. This is good information for West Grand Bahama and Bimini. The policy identifies 5 overarching goals. 1, safety and security. 2, access to infrastructure. 3, resilient livelihood and economic development. 4, institutional and capacity development. And 5, community empowerment and partnership. Some of the priority action recommended include, inter alia, review social protection mechanism and develop the interface with relief policy and other shock responsive measures. Undertake a risk-informed evidence-based infrastructure enhancement program that promotes the transition from recovery to resilience, and that is a strong mandate. Rationalization of the process and measures related to reconstruction in disaster zones with those for special economic recovery zones. Establishment of a performance monitoring mechanism for recovery, and most importantly, training and empowerment of communities to undertake damage assessment and prioritization of recovery and reconstruction needs. The more informed the community is, the more they involve, the more they partner, the better we can recover. The policy also establishes a vision and a system of principles to guide decisions and a rational process of resilient recovery through the disaster resilience strategy and implementation plan. The Ministry of Disaster Preparedness, Management and Reconstruction, and its subordinate agencies, NEMA and the DRA, are an important part of the institutional framework to develop, implement, and monitor the processes established to achieve resilient development goals. The disaster resilience strategy provides a framework by which the government may translate its resilient recovery policy into tangible action in the event of a disaster. And you know, disasters are unpredictable these days. They come to the least expected. Rather than supplanting NEMA and the DRA, I want to make it clear, rather than supplanting NEMA and the DRA, the disaster resilience strategy incorporates the existing framework as established in their respective legislation and seeks to maximize how both agencies can best contribute to a whole of government approach to resilient recovery. The Ministry of Disaster Preparedness, Management and Reconstruction, after only 17 months of existence, has accomplished much, and I applaud the hardworking management and staff of the tripartite entity for their invaluable contribution to achieving the goals of the ministry. I know the member, West Grand Bahama and Bimini, will gladly share the details of those accomplishments when she addresses this august body as the new Minister of Disaster Preparedness, Management and Reconstruction, which she speaks next week. You see, Mr. Speaker, she, like me, Marco City, member, Minister for Grand Bahama, Pine Ridge, we all experienced firsthand the ravages of Hurricane Dorian and know from being on the ground the tremendous challenges we faced and overcame in responding to and building back a better Grand Bahama and Abaco and the Abaco Keys. The work is not yet completed, but there is no denial that much has been accomplished. And to wake you all up, I will tap on the desk myself. We accomplished much, yes. Yeah, I know that heavy peas and rice have everybody kind of loggy now. As the newly appointed Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, I wish to publicly acknowledge the fact that I'm able to stand here today. I do not take this lightly because of the labor, love, and legacy of those who led the way before me. I wish to pay homage to all former ministers who have had ministerial responsibility for the portfolio of youth, sports, and our culture. And I want you to remember these names. These individuals have been the first one, Honorable Kendall Norris, numero uno. Number two, Livingston Coakley. Number three, God rest his soul, the Honorable Peter Bethel. Minister number four, the Honorable Norman Gay. Minister number five, man with the big stick, Algernon Allen, Bulgy. Minister number six, now the Minister of Labor, the Honorable Dion Pope. Minister number seven, one of our bright minds, the Honorable Shivago Line. Minister number eight, again out of Grand Bahama, the Honorable David Thompson. Minister number nine, the Honorable Neville Wisdom. Minister number 10, now our AG, the Honorable Carl Bethel. Minister number 11, the Honorable Byron Woodside. Minister number 12, and now our Deputy Prime Minister, one who was very instrumental in the development of myself, the member for Bamboo Town, and others in the sporting arena, our now Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Desmond Bannister. Minister number 13, the charismatic, God rest his soul, Mr. Charles Maynard. Minister number 14, the Honorable Daniel Johnson. Minister number 15, all around, good friend, Mr. Michael Pintard. And Minister number 16, my immediate predecessor, the Member of Parliament for Seabreeze, Denisha, and I think you need to give those fine young gentlemen and ladies. Thank you. As a former athlete, I am very cognizant of the critical importance that each member of a relay team plays in the success of the team. This government functions as a team. Part of what makes passing of the baton difficult is that it's usually done blindly, with the lead runner reaching backwards to be handed the baton before completing the leg. Some relays, you receive the baton blindly. Some relays, you look. When you're running the 4x400 meters or a mile relay, you look. Take 3 steps forward, you look back, thumbs up, you receive the baton, and you continue. When you're running the high speed 4x1, you look at the incoming one, you take off, you don't look back, line pass, thumbs not up, thumbs down. You give the incoming one a clear view of your palms that it can slap the baton in. Precision, communication. This is all done at speeds. And when the Member of Parliament for Bamboo Town was running well in excess of 20 miles per hour, and you cannot leave your lane or run out of your zone. So as you can imagine, that's a very difficult and technical race. Much of the responsibility for the blind handoff goes to the incoming runner. That athlete will typically make a verbal signal, and ours was reach. When you hear reach, it's time for you to reach your hand back to receive the baton. When closing on the change over zone, we signal to the outgoing runner, who never looks back after taking off, to be prepared for the handoff. It's on the incoming runner to make sure the exchange goes properly. Bamboo Town, I'd like for you to come up here. I have the permission of the speaker for you to come up on the podium with me, please, so we can demonstrate. Oh yeah, we gotta wait. Y'all gotta wake up in here. See, I have a brand new baton. A brand new baton. We say brand new. Never been touched before. Brand new baton. And we'll demonstrate how you properly exchange the baton, showing teamwork.
You receive it in the right?
I receive it.
In the right?
In my right hand.
Left to right.
Left to right. And I watch him as he comes. When he hit that mark, I take off. And what does he say?
Reach.
When he said reach, thumbs down, I receive the baton. I receive the baton at the base, foundation, strength.
So you can pass it on.
So I can pass it on and leave enough space for the outgoing runner to transfer. If I receive the baton here, we have problems. The baton is here. And as I pass the baton on to West Grand Bahama and Bimini, I would like you to stand up. She will not. And when I say reach, you can reach your left hand. You reach thumbs down. When you reach, give me a clear view. Put the baton there. She received the baton in the power position to pass on to the next runner. Doing these handoffs effectively is incredibly important to the relay, given our cost. And I can tell you, it's not all about leg speed, it's about chemistry. When myself, Bamboo Town, with Andrew Tynes, Bernard Young, Savannah Hepburn, when we ran, we didn't have the fastest leg speed, but we had chemistry. We understood each other in that zone. When we said, when that runner hit that mark, we take off. And the speed through the exchange zone that will cause you, the transition is what really causes you to win that race. Speed through the zone. And that's what we're trying to incorporate here. Speed. We hold that baton with strength and we pass it on with some authority, with momentum to the outgoing runner. The difference between fourth place, you watch the Olympic Games, and gold can be very small. And a perfect handoff can help shave time off just as much as raw speed, as I said earlier. The best teams combine that pure physical talent with masterful handoff that allow each runner to start, and like I said, finish with momentum. And I tell you, I just cannot, I have to reflect on those days. I will tell you, the fastest starter, quickest reaction time that I've ever experienced or seen on the track by any male was Bamboo Town. When that gun goes off, his reaction is just on point. And if you're not looking, you can miss. Our golden girl, Sabatino, in the Orlando Olympics, when the gun went off, it was almost as if she jumped the gun. Reaction. So, speed, chemistry, timing certainly makes the difference. I'm confident that the handoff that you just witnessed between myself, the Member of Parliament, Sea Breeze is not here today, and the Member of Parliament for West, Grand Bahama, and Bimini will culminate in gold medals when the people cast their ballots as we in this government work as a team. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture remains one of the most unique ministries in any government. The ministry touches the lives of every single Bahamian in some way or another, as we seek to harness the collective energy of our nation's youth to advance our collective sports power and to curate our collective cultural creativity. As you are fully aware, Mr. Speaker, the work of this government, as like governments the world over, continues to be adversely impacted or affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Unlike most of the world, the Ministry of Youth, Sport, and Culture retooled most of its programming to virtual formats and successfully hosted virtual National Youth Month in October, virtual National Sports Month in November, and virtual National Cultural Heritage Month in December. I thank the youth. Mr. Speaker, the Division of Youth continues to forge ahead with our mandate of youth development and empowerment through our standard programs and projects and through our varied partnerships. Youth Leader Certification Program. Mr. Speaker, this program is a highly subscribed 16-week training program for youth leaders and youth workers. For the first time in the history of this program, a fully virtual and truly national program will commence on Thursday, all things considered, March 23rd, 2021 at 6 p.m. Youth leaders across the length and breadth of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas will now have an opportunity to enroll in this dynamic and cutting-edge youth leadership training program, the Refresher Training Program. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, we intend to offer refresher training workshops as an adjunct to the Youth Leader Certification Program to address the many current challenges faced by our young people. The Job Ready Program, Grand Bahama. Mr. Speaker, this program is a 7-week job readiness program for young people ages 16 to 19 who will be equipped with soft skills and other tools that will assist in their pursuit of gainful employment. This program, like Obama is listening, is scheduled for March 29th to June 11th this year, 2021. The High School Leavers Job Readiness Series. Mr. Speaker, this is another retool program offering similar to Job Ready, but will be a fully virtual and truly national program. Multiple sessions of the one-week program is scheduled for March 29th into June 11th, 2021, and will be offered to recent high school leavers ages 16 to 19 throughout the islands of the Bahamas. The Be Inspired program. Mr. Speaker, this government-funded grant-based program is designed to empower young Bahamian entrepreneurs. Again, this government-funded grant-based program is designed to empower young Bahamian entrepreneurs. The program is open to persons aged 18 to 30 years, where successful participants are awarded grants of up to $5,000 to procure goods and materials to establish or to expand a small business. I'm advised that previous participants are awaiting resolution on certain matters, which I endeavor to resolve at the earliest possible convenience, and I will say no more than that. Yes. Youth Empowerment Series. Mr. Speaker, my ministry, through the Division of Youth, plan to engage all stakeholders in youth development to refresh our list of pertinent issues currently confronting our young people. We aim to strategically address these concerns as best we can through new and creative or retooled programs and partnerships. Department of Sports. Mr. Speaker, as could be expected, I'm especially enthusiastic about the portfolio of sports. As indicated earlier, you know that I'm a former track and field athlete. Moving through the ranks from being primary school participant at the Waterkey All-Age School, high school standout at the then Freeport High School, now the Bishop Michael Eldon, as the top collegiate performer at Tuskegee University. Then, fortunately enough, through the grace of God, on the world stage, culminating with representing my beloved country in the sprint as an Olympian at the 1996 Games in Atlanta and at the 2000 Summer Olympic Games in Sydney, Australia. Now, this is important, powerful. Mr. Speaker, this speaks to never giving up and never believing that it's too late for you. You see, I can testify. I had a very unusual start career as an Olympian. I made my first game as an Olympian, not at the age of 18 or 19 or 21, but at the age of 31. 31, I made my first Olympic as a world-class top athlete at the age of 31. Yes, I mean, I think that's phenomenal. Yes. I made my second Olympic Games, again, against all odds, at the age of 35. These days unheard of. Speaks to the talk, yes. And now the good news. No, it's not a farewell speech. No. It's not from track and field. It's farewell from track and field. Our state will have it. Some 21 years later, at the tender age of 56, all things considered, I'll be making my third Olympic Games. All things considered. But I'll be going as Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture. Absolutely. But rest assured, if by chance no Bahamian is at the blocks in the 100 and 200 meters, I may very well jump on the track and go for the goal. But I'm smart enough to go, I'm going to look for that box where the gold medal is stored and get it from there. So to my good Deputy Prime Minister, I was just singing your praises as to the role that you played in the administration of athletics when I was an athlete, and also, I will repeat this. I will repeat this. And Bamboo Town could testify to this. We were in Montauban, France in 2020 at 2000 training camp. Packed and ready to go. The French south of France countryside, packed and ready to go to the Olympic Games, training camp. The good president of the Beach Rays at the time, our now Deputy Prime Minister, sent us over there. Everything is good. We feeling good. We're going to the Olympic Games. About 2 days before going to Sydney, Australia, the president called us up. He said, look, if y'all don't break the national record tomorrow night, ain't that me? Y'all coming back home. Now the Golden Girls ready to go. All individuals ready to go. So the pressure, can you imagine the amount of pressure that was on our shoulders? If you all don't break this national record, when the team members packing to go to Australia, they all will be packing to come up to the Bahamas. You know how embarrassing that would have been? Absolutely. That would have been most embarrassing. But be that as it may, we got a chance to run. Bamboo Town led up in a gunman off. And we had, on the second leg, a young man who had some issues. He was injured because one of our top athletes had to go back to, Andrew Tynes had to go back to Houston to deal with the matter. So we had to replace him with an injured outgoing runner. And Bamboo Town gave us the lead. Second place, I said, just hold on. He held on enough, gave it to me, I think it was in 4th or 5th place. On the third leg. 4th place. And I ran with all my might. And I passed it off to Dominic Demerit. And Dominic Demerit, I heard run. And Dominic Demerit left. And when we crossed that line, for the first time in the history of the Bahamas, we went under 39 seconds. Now, what the rest of the team didn't know, I was working, I was gainfully employed, I had money in my pocket. When the president said he was going to Australia, I already called ahead to make my reservations anyhow. So when they packed him to go, I was going to be in Australia. But anyway, it didn't come to that. But I thank you for the pressure. It borrowed the best. We know we had chance, one last chance. And we were able to pull it off. Never give up. There's always a chance. You know, people are telling me, well, you came into the ministry kind of late, it's, short time. I don't buy that. Never. We don't have short time. We have enough time to get a lot done. And while I'm on the floor, never give up. And while I'm on the floor, I remember my experience in 1989 at the first Bahamas Games, and we'll get to that later on, talk about the Bahamas game. I see he's telling you. He's telling the story. In the finals. Great. Randall Wells in the race. Fabian Wims. I believe, I'm not sure if Joe Stiles was there. Race loaded. And true to form, the member for Bamboo Town. I remember Blob. Blob was the starter. Anthony McKenzie, I believe his name was. Blob was the starter. Blob. Foxman boy? Yes, God rest his soul. When the gun went off, Bamboo Town, Southern Shores, I kid you not, was gone. I thought he jumped the gun. But I didn't hear a second gun, so I said, well, the race is on. So I decided I have to represent Grand Bahama. 40 meters into the race, Bamboo Town had a tremendous lead. I ain't talking about Bamboo Town. Fabian Wims with him. I'm not sure if Joe Stiles was there. Top running. Andrew Tynes, somewhere in the back. Yeah, at the time he was in the top. At the time, Andrew was not the top, but Andrew fought through. 80 meters out, I'm still probably in 4th or 5th place. 90 meters into the race, 10 meters to go, Bamboo Town still there, leading the race. And for some reason, I heard the voice, don't give up. The race ain't over until it's over. I relaxed, rolled my elbow back, knees lifted, come across the line, Bamboo Town, beat Bamboo Town at the tape. Won the race for Grand Bahama. So again, speaks to the fact that the race is never over until the race is over. Exactly. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. This is my mentor, my political father. I speak to the Olympic. The speaker, you might be familiar with the twist. It's strongest. Here you enjoy it today. Mr. Speaker, I now turn to the Olympic Games. And like I said, I'm about to make my third Olympic Games at 31, at 35, and now at 50. I'll be 56 during the next game, God spare life. Yes. As you might be familiar with the twists and turns caused by the COVID-19 pandemic that really besieged the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, resulting in its postponement to this year. So again, COVID-19 wasn't all bad to me. I would call it this last year. So I'll be making it again. Sorry, it's just the truth. Bahamian athletes have also been adversely affected, but nonetheless are expected to represent their country at these upcoming games. The Bahamas government and the Bahamas Olympic Committee will do its best to ensure the best representation at this year's Olympic Games. And as preparation for other games coming up, I would like to expound on the fact that our Prime Minister reminded me to mention that the Bahamas Games is upcoming. We are preparing for the famous Bahamas Games, games that will bring this whole country back together. We are not talking about Nassau Games or Freeport Games. We're talking about the Bahamas Games. So we'll be doing an inventory of all of our facilities from Inagua, Grand Bahama, Abaco, Maikal, whatever facilities we have, to ensure that those facilities are up to speed so that the athletes in the various islands will have a fair chance to practice and to be ready. Because there's an advantage that the athletes in Nassau or Grand Bahama may have by having the Mondo all-purpose track. So they get more of a chance to work on their speed. You have more sporting facilities. So we are going to try to level the playing field by ensuring that the playing grounds for the performing the athletic grounds in the various islands are brought up to speed and a good time. We're looking at, in order to plan these games properly, you cannot do it in a month's time or 2 months. We're looking at least 2 years to plan it properly. You want it to be done properly. The islands can have their games next year or even later on this year in preparation. But the Bahamas games, and you must agree with me that 2023 sounds like a good year. That will be our 50th anniversary. So I believe having the Bahamas games as a part of our, yes. Thank you. Absolutely. That's confirmation. 2023. I'm announcing that the Bahamas games will be held in 2023 as a part of our 50th anniversary celebration. I'm looking forward to that. My first time on the stage. So that involves every Bahamian. Of course, the land and bed, and I can tell you, culture will also be a part of that experience. We're going to bring all sectors of our society together. And it'll be good if I can see members of my relay team. We've only walked on the track together. Myself, member for Bamboo Town, and some of the other relay runners and former ministers on the track together just as a show of longevity and strength. And Bahamian, yes, Pine Ridge, I can no longer run. And as my speech indicated, I don't even like to run my mouth anymore. But Pine Ridge, I think Pine Ridge say you want a MP's race? I may be able to hold out. I may be able to hold that. Yes, Mr. Speaker, another very important developmental program is our Carifta Games. And Mr. Speaker, Carifta was also negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, and unfortunately forced the postponement of both track and field and the aquatic championship. The Bahamas, the games have been forecasted to be held in July, August of this year. Yes, looking at July, August this year. And the track and field is scheduled to be held in Bermuda and aquatics in Barbados, hometown of my good mother-in-law. Again, the Bahamas Games, the Bahamas government will do its best to ensure representation at this year's Carifta Games. The National High School Track and Field Championship. Sadly, Mr. Speaker, this highly anticipated event of national importance was the first local event in our country placed on lockdown due to COVID-19. In fact, and this was the painful part, but we have to take it from a safety perspective. Participants from Grand Bahama and other family islands were already in Nassau. Athletes were, in fact, in the stadium. Runners were on the track when, out of an abundance of caution, the event was canceled. And again, sadly, we are unable to host this year's championship event. Another developmental meet would have been the Frank Panther Running Primary School Track and Field Championship. Speak, unfortunately, the plight of another important feeder program for budding athletes suffered a similar fate last year. We are still hopeful that conditions will allow for the hosting of these championships at some point this year. The Hugh Campbell basketball tournament. This highly charged tournament was unfortunately postponed again, and the first-time defending champions, the Sunland Stingers out of Grand Bahama, were anxious to defend their crown. However, they were denied this opportunity again due to COVID-19. I wish to encourage young athletes to persevere and do their best at maintaining physical fitness, always thinking positively and never giving up on their dreams of advancing in the world of sports. This is just a momentary bump on the road to success, just another hurdle to get over. And before I go into culture more and sports, I had the pleasure of going down to the stadium 2 days ago, and there were a lot of mixed young and old athletes on the track. And I can see the energy is still there. The feeder programs are working well, and the athletes are very excited. In fact, when I walk on the track, the smallest athlete on the track, a young boy, I think he's about the height of Golden Gate, very short. He decided to challenge me. He said, "You, I want to race you. When you come, you say it's coming, right? Say, when you come back to the track, bring your tennis. I want to race you." And they're all excited. So we'll see how we can encourage them and push them, because they are indeed our future. Mr. Speaker, the Division of Culture also continues to inspire and remind us of all those great things that make us all proud to be Bahamian. Very important program. Unesco's Intangible. I believe our heritage and department should be happy to hear this. UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage Items. Mr. Speaker, I wish to commend the Division of Cultural Affairs. I want all of us to listen to this. Commend the Division of Cultural Affairs, who in collaboration with the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization and the Ministry of Education, through the Junkanoo Inscription Committee, has secured eligibility for the Bahamas, to secure ownership of Junkanoo as an indigenous Bahamian art form to be inscripted in UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage items. Why this is so important? So important is that Trinidad was famous for the steel drums, the steel band. They missed an opportunity. They did not register. And now the steel pan is a part of the heritage of, guess which country? Japan. Trinidad missed an opportunity. It's listed as Japan's part of their cultural heritage. Who would have thought that? We cannot allow that to happen. Junkanoo. We are going to make sure that we are registered, that is registered as part of our cultural heritage program. Very important. And more papers will be coming to that effect. UNESCO's Convention on the Means of Prohibiting and Preventing the Illicit Import and Export and Transfer of Ownership of Cultural Property. Mr. Speaker, Caribbean and African nations alike are reclaiming stolen. Did you hear this? Caribbean and African nations alike are reclaiming stolen historical artifacts that root a people to their identity. I am pleased to report that the Bahamas has signed on to the 1970 UNESCO Convention and is now eligible for ratification of the 1995 Unidroit Protection Convention. My research over the last few days indicated that we have some very valuable assets came from the Bahamas on display in other countries, valued at millions and millions of dollars that they are exhibiting in their museum, and we're not getting anything from it. So we'll find a way to have those artifacts back in the Bahamas, or if they're going to display them in their museum, we find a way to monetize it for the Bahamian. So again, thank you very much. I now speak to the E. Clement Bethel National Arts Festival. The speaker, the 60-year-old, one-of-a-kind event is perhaps our most important and truly national festival in this country. It encompasses every island and keys, and the range of participants goes from age 4 to near centenarian. With major disruptions due to COVID-19 pandemic, we seek to launch this festival in a reformat virtual version. And I met with cultural staff this morning, and I know Ms. Zenovia Pierre, better known as Novi, is all excited and can't wait to get us up and running. See that? Only opposition. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, let me once again, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, these are unprecedented times. Our beloved country is facing huge challenges in the wake of Hurricane Dorian, the transformative effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the resultant strain on public finances. Yet my ministry has set an ambitious agenda with meaningful programs, which we aim to undertake over the next few months. And let me once again thank my now Permanent Secretary, Mr. Carl Smith, for the work that he would have done and helped me to format or to form the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness, Management, and Reconstruction. And thanks to all of the staff, the DRA, I'm headed by the Managing Director, and the Chairman and the Board for doing a wonderful job with respect to rebuilding Grand Bahama and Abaco. And now to my new PS, Poitier, and Under Secretary Williams, Director of Sports, Money, Neely, and all the rest. Those who I will be working with in the near future, I want to say thank you all for your support. And I expect that the baton that I hand off to member for West Grand Bahama and Bibney will continue to roll. And she will keep the momentum going and take it to the finish line and pass it on. It's all going on. And this baton was given courtesy of the Deputy Prime Minister. He always, I need a baton. Don't worry, I have one. And like I said, it was brand new. Never touched before. Yes, I realized that the COVID-19 pandemic has severely affected all sectors of my portfolio, as I said earlier, youth, sports, and especially culture. And I wish to encourage the nation, as simplistic as it may sound, but honestly, we must rise above it all. The Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Culture remains focused and excited about assisting our youth, sports, and cultural communities as we unify, and I emphasize this word, as we unify one Bahamas to move our country forward, upward, onward, together. Central Grand Bahama support.
Thank you, Honorable Member. As many, Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a great time to be, as they say, in the land of the living. I want to thank Almighty God for giving me another opportunity to stand in this honorable place. Also, the great people of the Michael constituency. They are the people who are responsible for me being here. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister for appointing me as the chairperson of the Education Loan Authority, the Honorable Member for South Beach, the staff of ELA, my husband, Bishop Leroy Emanuel, and our daughter, Lyra Tisha. And yes, blessings to all the frontline workers. They have worked hard to keep all of us safe during the COVID-19 pandemic. Blessings to them and their families. Mr. Speaker, it's my conviction more than ever before that this is the time when we need to convince, inspire, and motivate people to hold on and do not lose faith and hope. Yes, I believe things will be better. With the help of God and this focused government, we shall overcome. Mr. Speaker, I am in agreement with Dr. the Honorable Prime Minister in saying that this is an unprecedented time in modern Bahamian history. I want to say to him, the people of the Bahamas and all of us in this honorable place, let us stand strong and hold on. Let us have a strong faith as our success over COVID-19 is dependent on whether we could stand strong, hold on tightly, and obey the protocols by the health professionals. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the Honorable Prime Minister that no matter how it looks, thousands of people are standing with him. Yes, honorable members, they are standing with us. The price of the fish matters more than the noise in the marketplace. Mr. Speaker, the conversation these days seems to be centered on leadership. Yes, it is said that everything rises and falls on leadership. The focus seems to be on political leaders. And many people are saying that we and the world are in a leadership crisis. Mr. Speaker, the focus seems to be on political leadership. And many people are saying that we and the world are in a leadership crisis. Mr. Speaker, I am convinced that there is a need for a discussion on total leadership family, community, work, personal self, but in particular, family leadership, which is the bedrock of our nation. In addition, relationship with our significant others. Maybe if you fail in family leadership, you may not be good for other leadership. Mr. Speaker, many of the people who are talking about leadership crisis may find themselves in the position like those who brought the woman to Jesus and said she was caught in the very act of a dirty trick. Jesus paid them no mind because he knew they were no better. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Minister of Finance, our Prime Minister, stated on page 21 of his communication that despite the two twin economic catastrophes of Hurricane Dorian and COVID-19 pandemic, the Bahamian dollar remains as strong as it has ever been. Mr. Speaker, I take the liberty now to mention Hurricane Irma. When this current government evacuated hundreds of residents from the Southeast Bahamas, which included the Michael constituency. Just a few weeks ago, people were celebrating this Prime Minister care and compassion, saying, what may have happened if the people were not evacuated? Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister and those who would come after him would learn that countless leaders down throughout history have discovered it's windy at the top. Mr. Speaker, the people complained bitterly for water to their leader Moses, as if he was responsible for their situation or had the power to fix it. Mr. Speaker, in the 2020-21 budget, the government outlined its plan and strategy to lead our people out of the unprecedented challenges. Mr. Speaker, the Resilient Bahamas Plan states that the government will not compromise on public health and safety. Here we are today, the envy of many nations. Protect and sustain employment. Thousands of jobs were protected and millions in payroll. Mr. Speaker, this government paid out millions of dollars to assist the Bahamian people. $44.4 million in payroll, $24 million on food assistance, $45 million in business loans and grants, $83.5 million in construction projects to stimulate the economy. Mr. Speaker, it's so much more, but I would not try to call the numbers because they say I can't count. Mr. Speaker, this government continues to assist the people of the Bahamas. The citizens would have not go hungry Mr. Speaker, the people in Michael Mr. Speaker, the people in Michael benefited greatly. Some store owners were complaining because sales were down. However, my team and I supported the community store owners by issuing coupons to be spent with them. Mr. Speaker, just this week, food items were being distributed throughout the Michael constituency. Mr. Speaker, this government has done well for the people of the Bahamas, knowing its responsibility, and those who want to be truthful knows that. Nevertheless, each of us have our opinion. The word says, happy are those who think and do for those who cannot help themselves. Mr. Speaker, it's not easy being in the chair, knowing that you are doing the right thing, or at least the best that you can, only to hear complaints from some people because things are not going the way they think it should. Mr. Speaker, thousands of Bahamians in this country and the world knows that this government continues to do a great job, and they are celebrating and are glad that this government is navigating us through these tough times. Make no mistake, Mr. Speaker, there are those who wish it were my colleagues from the other side, but God knows what's best for his people. Mr. Speaker, this government needs to, can, and will continue to do more for our people. Yes, some may have fallen through the cracks and have not seen them. But we say to them and those who know those that are fallen, hold their hands, bring them forward so we can see and help them. This government, who would never let any citizen go hungry. Mr. Speaker, the people of the Bahamas are counting on us. We are their elected messengers. Mr. Speaker, the people of the Bahamas are counting on us. We are their elected messengers. They sent us here to fight for them and to do all in our power to make their lives better than when we came into this place in 2017. Mr. Speaker, the incident that I mentioned from Moses' life is a reminder that just because you exercise authority correctly, you will be treated favorably by others, not necessarily. Mr. Speaker, it is always better to be faithful by doing what is right than being popular. Mr. Speaker, amen. I now turn my attention to the Education Loan and Authority, for which I have the chairmanship responsibility. Mr. Speaker, the Education Loan Authority, mandated and vision, is not only to receive funds but also to revive this most needed program. Each year, thousands of Bahamians seek higher education, and sadly, some are unable to afford it. Mr. Speaker, the Education Loan Authority today has a complement of Mr. Speaker, the Education Loan Authority today has a staff complement of 9 individuals: the chairman, the financial officer, and 7 persons in the loan support unit, which includes compliance officers. This unit oversees the authority's default loan portfolio. Mr. Speaker, in compliance with the COVID-19 national emergency orders, the authority staff was also on a rotation system from May 18 to July 31st and September 7th to December 31st, returning to regular operation January 2021. In addition, our operations were suspended from March 23rd to May 11th and August 4th, reopening September 7th, 2020. Mr. Speaker, the authority headed by the Board of Directors has engaged the service of 2 collection agencies to assist with the collection of outstanding debt. Mr. Speaker, to ensure that this process was executed in the most efficient manner, the authority has contracted 2 individuals to work with this project. Today, our team has prepared 3,294 files for this collection effort, and we are ready to move forward. Mr. Speaker, many of our loan holders were not able to make consistent payments because of the economic fallout of COVID-19. However, during the period of March 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020, the authority was able to maintain 693 current files. Mr. Speaker, at this time, I wish to thank those special persons who, although they may have been affected by Hurricane Dorian and COVID-19, still saw the importance in honoring their commitment to the Bahamas government by remaining current. Mr. Speaker, we also had 37 persons who paid off their student loans during the period of January 2020, January 2021, totaling $467,702.78.
Progress.
Mr. Speaker, in addition, we have had 33 persons who have entered new payment agreements. Yes, Mr. Speaker, in the midst of a pandemic, to those persons, I also say thank you. Mr. Speaker, we know this caring government, we have also assigned many of our loan holders affected by COVID-19 by deferring loan payment for up to 3 months. Mr. Speaker,
You never know. You never know. That's the problem.
We listen to Mike Allen, okay?
Mrs.
Honorable members.
Mr. Speaker, The government of the Bahamas guarantees the payment of the authorities' bonds and its interest payment. We are pleased that despite the COVID-19 pandemic, we were able to meet the interest payment of August 2020 and February 2021, which totaled $2.6 million. Mr. Speaker, the authorities' collection for the period of January 2020 to January 2021 stands at $842,191.97.
But I never forget telling the neighbor.
Why are you talking about this?
Mr. Speaker, at the beginning of my chairmanship at the authority in 2018, the total amount of outstanding loans stood at $4,426, which today now totals $3,495 loans. This, Mr. Speaker, shows a 29% decrease in the outstanding debt. Mr. Speaker, before the COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with the Minister of Education and the Board of Directors, great efforts were being made to restart the student loan program. We not only seek to restore the program, but ensure that the necessary control provisions are in place to safeguard its ongoing sustainability and viability. So, Mr. Speaker, with the help of God, we are looking to restart this program, but we have put all the mechanism in place to make sure that what happened in the past will not happen in the present. Mr. Speaker, our efforts for restarting the loan program may have been hindered, but they will not be stopped. We will continue in our recovery initiatives and will continue to make progress in restarting the student loan program. Mr. Speaker, I now turn my attention to the Michael constituency. The great people who have elected me to be their voice in this honorable place. And I continue to speak for them without fear or opposition. Mr. Speaker, the people of the Michael constituency have elected me in 2017 to be their voice in this honorable place. And for that, I am grateful. Many of them know that I have done my best to address their needs to the relevant authority. Mr. Speaker, I may not get up in this honorable place every time to articulate their needs for others to hear, but the honorable ministers know that I speak to them on behalf of my people. Mr. Speaker, the people of Michael deserves to have what every Bahamian and every constituency has. They are Bahamians and must and will be treated as such. I am sure that this government has done this. No prime minister has visited and slept in Michael constituency as did the Honorable
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Hubert A. Minutes. Mr. Speaker, I know he cares for my people. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, this member has no fear when the election bells ring.
Off, man.
I have and will continue to do my work and stay in contact with my people. Mr. Speaker, they love me and I love them. They know I care. The people of the New Bahamas don't care. The people of the New Bahamas do not care 1 cent. In my view, where you were born or who your family is, they want real people who care about their needs. I guess they got that spirit of the people from the big yard. The late father of the nation, Sir Lyndon Oscar Pinlin, was not from Andros. They cared for and loved the person. This generation has the same spirit. Mr. Speaker,
Yes. Yes. They know that. They question me. It's not a question.
Man, let me hear my girl, man.
Mr. Speaker, the islands that make up the Maikal constituency are still in need. This government and the people and I, we are going to get it done. We have begun our work, but COVID-19 has slowed us down. But Mr. Speaker, good news, there was no break in the 52 weeks program. There may have been some challenges. However, they could be fixed. Megwana, good news. But still needs some attention. But the good news, as you heard the honorable member for Long Island talk about the water. Now, Mr. Speaker, in some of these islands, this is the first time this is happening. The road repairs and paving, the airstrip. Mr. Speaker, we do not despair. However, because there are still some great things that we have accomplished. Megwana, the new administrative complex in Abraham's Bay. Repairs made to the clinics in Parrots Wells and Betsy Bay. 2 new classrooms, 3 restroom and storage facilities in Parrots Wells. 80% of the seawall completed in each settlement. The cave project is forthcoming. This is an attraction for the tourists and the locals of Megwana. Mr. Speaker, upgrades and repairs are pending in Inagua. Again, we see light, Mr. Speaker, as we have accomplished Crown land grants to residents of Inagua, the installation of the radar equipment to assist the Royal Bahamas Defense Force in detecting poachers, etc. A warehouse for the storage and distribution of hurricane supplies. In spite of everything, this current government is still working. Mr. Speaker, the airport runway still needs to be extended to accommodate larger planes like the national carrier in Cricket Island. For years, This seems to have been the problem, but I believe this government have the solution to get it done. Mr. Speaker, it's the small things that matters that people celebrate on these islands. To know that if they fall sick at night, they have a nurse in the clinic that could see them. Also, the clearing of the roads, renovation completed at the airport, food program. Mr. Speaker, I was most touched on day before yesterday when a resident from Auckland sent me a message. And I really felt that. And she said, we are so grateful and we are thankful for what the government is doing in terms of the food distribution. She said, I can feel the love. And I want to thank you, MP. And no need for you to worry. God have you. Because you are passionate and you're caring.
Go ahead.
And I said to her, my mission, when you elected me in 2017, I made a commitment to the people of the Michael constituency that I will do all in my power to make sure that their lives are much better than when I've met it. The people in the Michael constituency, they are seeing it, they are feeling it, and they know that this caring government is on the road. Cabbage Hill, Colonel Hill, for the first time, thanks to the honorable member for Long Island. For the first time, potable water in Cricket Island. I was there and I witnessed that and I just saw the expression on the people's face. So now, they don't have to go to a well with a bucket or to a pump to get water. With the click of a faucet. That's what this caring government had done. Mr. Speaker, in Auckland, there's still a need for multi-purpose hurricane shelters and community centers. The post office still in progress of opening up. In spite of all that COVID-19 brought on us as a government and as a people, the government is still at work. Repairs were made to the primary and high school in Auckland. Residents now can view the Parliamentary and ZNS TV 13 news coverage live. Mr. Speaker, passport, birth certificate, marriage certificate, death certificate, all are available in the Michael constituency right now. Mr. Speaker, yes. Yes, they got passport. Yes, Minister. Michael in Inagua, shortly, the opening of the passport office in Inagua and the new school. This government is showing the people that they matter. Auckland, the road, the completion of the road in Salina Point. The bridge in Lovely Bay is functional. The police department has the necessary vehicles to carry out their duties. Mr. Speaker, there has been some improvement with the mailboat service. Long Key. Mr. Speaker, Long Key is in need of attention. Major repairs are needed to its road, dock, infrastructure. They need to have a massive cleanup launch on that island. Mr. Speaker, Long Key is in dire need of economic boost. Mr. Speaker, I am convinced that this caring government, led by the Honorable Hugh, Prime Minister, will get the job done. Mr. Speaker, this minister-led government was caught in this COVID-19 storm, tossed and battered. Nevertheless, like a ship, we have what it takes to ride out this storm safely with the Bahamian people. For this, we give God praise. Mr. Speaker, Scripture teaches that governments ultimately derive from God's word, from God's wisdom. For some, this truth may be hard to accept in light of widespread of disillusionment with governments today. Mr. Speaker, I thank God for all the women of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Yes, Mr. Speaker, and for my 4 sisters in this place. Never mind what some people think and say about us. Mr. Speaker, yes, we can. The 5 of us have the ability and the capacity to lead. We may not always get it right, but who does? We hear what some are saying, but this job takes courage and a strong heart. And that's why we are here by the people. Mr. Speaker, yes, we can. The 5 of us have the ability and the capacity. We may not always get it right, but who does? We hear what some are saying, but this job takes courage and a strong heart. And that's why we are here by the people.
People put you there.
We are helpmeet. That's what God calls us. We are risk takers and not afraid of challenges. We are great during crisis. Our watch phase is well. God placed us here to complement and not duplicate. Women, we must be strong. Let us hold strong hands together and win the war. It is well. Mr. Speaker, I am proud of who I am. And I love who I am. I am proud of my family. I came from a family of 15 children.
Wow.
10 girls and 5 boys. I am the 11th child. Mr. Speaker, on the other side, our schoolmates. Some I grew up with in the neighborhood, and some are my family. Mr. Speaker, if I had to do it all over, I will do it again. I have no regrets studying Christian education and theology, even though I began accounting. Mr. Speaker, my transition from the pulpit or pastorate to politician has been a wonderful blend and experience. I see no difference. Why? Because it's about caring and helping people. Most of all, it's about trying to make their lives better than when I met them. Mr. Speaker, if I can help or make one person's life better than when I met it in 2017, then my time here would have not been wasted. My life is about mending broken people. I released a CD in 2005. I want to spend my life, mending broken hearts. My life is about mending broken people. And like I said, if I had to do it again, I will do it again. Mr. Speaker, I said these words during my last communication, and I am saying them again. I am happy that the people of my town gave me this opportunity to come to this honorable place, and I am not ashamed. Praise is what I do. Politics is what I love. Praise is what I do. Politics is what I love. And preaching is who I am. When I put these three together, I hear the voice saying, Miriam, my God, you are living in your purpose. Carry on. And the peace of the Creator be with you. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. God bless you. God bless the honorable members. God bless my people of my cow. God bless the Bahamas. And long live the great Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Long live the great Commonwealth of the Bahamas, when many of us are long gone. Michael's support, I rest.
Thank you, Honorable Member. As many? The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Tall Pines.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm always privileged. I always see it as a privilege, Mr. Speaker, to rise in this honorable House, to speak, to represent the good people of Tall Pines, and to, as I always say, by extension, speak on behalf of this great party and to represent the entire Bahamas, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is not a budget for the Free National Movement. This is not a budget for my constituents in Tall Pines. This is a midterm budget representation for the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Yes. And so I say at this onset that this member for Tall Pines fully supports this midterm budget, which represents the 6 months ending December 31st, 2020. Mr. Speaker, I wish to begin this contribution by thanking God first. Speaker, I know that's become a term that Bahamians sometimes, somebody told me that You ask why Bahamians always in their speeches start off by praying and thanking God. And we always thank God because we know that, Mr. Speaker, when we leave this place, there will be demons after us. And only one person covers us. Only one spirit covers us, and that's God. And so I want to begin by thanking God for giving me this opportunity to stand in this place, to be able to represent a great people, the communities of Tall Pines, to represent the best country on this globe, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And to say that, notwithstanding these unprecedented times with hurricanes and COVID-19, this government has demonstrated, its people, this Commonwealth people have demonstrated a commitment, a resolve, that we will continue to be strong and that we will overcome these challenges. And so, Mr. Speaker, I thank God for the F&M victory of 2017 in Tall Pines and throughout our constituencies, because I strongly believe, Mr. Speaker, that historic victory meant something important for this country. And when we see what happened after that, and the response that this government has given, one could only say that we, all of us in this house right now, must have been purposed to be here, to fight for our constituents, to fight for this country. And so we thank the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Finance, Senator Kwesi Thompson, and the entire team for preparing this budget as we look forward to a prosperous second half of this budgetary term. Mr. Speaker, I want to just also say that I want to give a special thanks to my family, my wife, my children, my Tall Pines Pride team, and all of my constituents who continue to pray for us, continue to show their dedication to the service we give on a daily basis as we work together to build a stronger Tall Pines. Mr. Speaker, my team and I, we've never stepped away from the hard work and the commitment we have promised the people of Tall Pines. As we walk the streets, we take our blows, we take the criticisms, but we also accept the thank yous. We accept the moments when our citizenry and our constituents say, notwithstanding all the challenges, this government has stood up and is doing a good job. And Mr. Speaker, I would say that we've had more of those positive responses than the negative responses. We've had more people saying that the Ministry of Health, the police force, the Ministry of Education, the Prime Minister's office, the Ministry of Social Services, and all of those other departments and ministries are living up to the expectation, and not only living up to the expectation during these challenging times, but moving on far beyond those expectations. And so I want to thank this government, Mr. Speaker, for their hard work. I want to thank this Prime Minister for his hard work and his dedication. And so, Mr. Speaker, I cherish the words of the Prime Minister when he said that our focus has at all times been on the people. Our focus has at all times been on the people. And Mr. Speaker, before I speak substantively to the midterm budget, I wish to remind all of us in here and all that are listening today that unless we stick to that promise, unless we work together, we as a people, we would not see the promised land after these challenges. And so I stand by my Prime Minister. I stand by my ministers in our government. I stand by every member of Parliament in this house, whether you be F&M or whether you be PLP or whether you be independent. I stand by them, Mr. Speaker, to serve their people, to do their best, to help them through these challenging times. Because this government has already demonstrated a commitment to make our country better. This government has already dedicated itself to a stronger Bahamas in the coming months and in the coming years. Mr. Speaker, again, before I speak substantively to the budget, I wish at this time on behalf of the people of Tall Pines to thank the member of Seabreeze and the former Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture for her hard work and dedication, not only to the young people of Tall Pines, but the young people of this whole Commonwealth. We wish her the very best, whatever she decides to do in the future. Speaker, we thank the member for Central Grand Bahama for stellar service as the Minister of State for Disaster Management and Preparedness, and congratulate him on becoming the new substantive Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture. I want to advise him, though, Mr. Speaker, that I never made the Olympic team, but I made the Exuma track and field team in the first Bahama Games, and that has solidified my citizenship to the Exumas. So it was an experience, Mr. Speaker, having represented Exuma as a track and field athlete. And at that time, Mr. Speaker, I thought I would make the Olympic team, but I'll leave that for another day, Mr. Speaker. But I want to congratulate him, Mr. Speaker, for this new challenge that he has in his life. He's a young Bahamian. I always thought that he and I was the same age, so he kind of surprised me a few minutes ago when he told me his age. But I want to thank him not only for his service as the Minister of State for Disaster Management and Preparation, but also to thank him for his continued service as an Olympian, as a sportsman, and just as a young Bahamian that we all can look up to. So I congratulate you, Central Grand Bahama. I also wish, Mr. Speaker, to congratulate my very good friend, my sparring partner, my colleague, on her recent appointment as the new Minister of State for Disaster Management and Preparedness. My good friend, the Member of Parliament for West Grand Bahama and Bimini. Speaker, she has demonstrated over the years our commitment to her people in Grand Bahama, commitment to her people in Bimini. But I think at this moment, I hope as she walks about the streets of this Commonwealth that she represents a group of citizens who I consider arguably the most important citizens in this country. And I speak of our women. Speaker, many are women, many are girls would be looking up to you, West Grand Bahama and Bimini. They will be looking up to you. Still look young, still look energetic. I'm going to get to that. Can I finish my speech? You still look young. You still, well, she is very beautiful. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, she carries herself well. She speaks well. And she is a very good representative, and I'm going to look forward to being here with you in the next couple of months as you retain your seat in West Grand Bahama and Bimini. And also, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank her for her work as the former Parliamentary Secretary in Communications and Lands, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I'd like to take this opportunity now to express my surprise.
Honorable members.
Yes.
Those shouts across the floor are being picked up by the ZNS broadcast. Chair recognizes Paul Pine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to, Mr. Speaker, express my surprise also to the recent retirement, if I could use that term, of the PLP Member of Parliament for South Central and Mangus Piandros. Speaker, I remember many years ago when I used to come as a guest on his show, which we spoke of so much in the few days past. But I also remember vividly when he was the president of the Alumni Association of the College of the Bahamas. And I came back from university and I served as his vice president for 2 years. And then afterwards, Mr. Speaker, I served as president 4 years following his term. And we became very, very close then, Mr. Speaker, discussing and helping on the university board or council, helping with the Alumni Association, fundraising. And I saw his commitment to his people. I also, as an Andrus boy, also, Mr. Speaker, see his commitment to Andros. Many a days and all of us, we speak to the lack of commitment his party gave that island over the many years they've represented that particular island. But nonetheless, Mr. Speaker, we could say that he tried his best and did many a work in South Andros. I need not, Mr. Speaker, repeat what's being said about him, but to simply say I endorse the words of the member for Yamakro, who spoke for 30 minutes about his service and how he was treated by his party. I need not repeat that, and I don't want to get into PLP business, but I just want to say to him that I'm sure that his place in history, his place in this country, his history as a broadcaster and as a parliamentarian would not go unnoticed. And we look forward to him continuing, Mr. Speaker, to serve this country in some other way if he decides not to step back in the political arena, if I can use that term. I would speak, Mr. Speaker, to the retirement of member for Garden Hills another time, except to say that he and I are Exuma boys and that we shared a campaign headquarters when I ran in the 2007 general election. He and Babu Tang and myself in Golden Gates. And so we became very close friends and colleagues since then. And I wish him, Mr. Speaker, the very best. Mr. Speaker, it's important to note as I turn now to the midterm budget, it's important to note that the 2020-2021 midterm budget statement is a process which is required by the Financial Administration and Audit Act 2010 and the Financial Responsibility Act 2018. Mr. Speaker, we've spoken on this 2018 bit extensively for some time now, but it really creates, Mr. Speaker, a new standard of transparency and accountability as it relates to the financial regime in the Bahamas. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding the challenges we've had with Hurricane Doreen and COVID-19, we are confident that these revolutionary pieces of legislation that this FNM government have brought to this parliament and passed will assist us in moving even stronger forward as we challenge and face these events. And so, Mr. Speaker, as an FNM member of parliament, I am so pleased to give a report to the Tall Pines constituents and the entire Bahamas of my huge support for this government as they deliver on different aspects of what we consider the resilient Bahamas plan. Mr. Speaker, as noted by the member of Parliament for Kalani, Minister of Finance and Prime Minister, during the 2020-2021 budget debate, this government outlined a strategic plan to successfully navigate this country through these challenging times. He dedicated, Mr. Speaker, that this government would make provisions for the protection, the well-being of its citizenry and residents, to maintain economic stability during COVID-19, and to plant seeds of accelerated recovery. This Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, which I'm proud to serve with, notes that in order to achieve these goals, though, in an environment of fiscal constraint, his government, our government, made the conscious decision to place great focus on 5 priorities, and I want to reiterate them for the Bahamian people. He says that we do not want to compromise public health and safety, Speaker. We do not want to compromise public health and safety. And to this end, Mr. Speaker, the Free National Movement government has led a science-driven COVID-19 response that has curtailed, Mr. Speaker, the spread of this virus. Mr. Speaker, I would put it to you that this response, as noted by so many, not only in this country, but throughout the Caribbean, has become the envy of our region, and indeed the envy of the world, our response. He also said that we want to protect and sustain employment. Protect and sustain employment. And to this end, Mr. Speaker, this Free National Movement government, at this midterm point, have protected over 14,000 private sector jobs by funding $44.4 million in payroll support through the tax credits, Mr. Speaker, and deferrals. $44.4 million, Mr. Speaker. And many of my constituents in Tall Pines have benefited from this. Speaker, he says, we will not let our citizens go hungry. We will not let our citizens go hungry. And to this end, Mr. Speaker, after 6 months, this F&M government have spent over $24 million on food assistance through the National Food Distribution Task Force. And we have fed, Mr. Speaker, over 72,000 households. Again, many of my Tall Pines residents have benefited from this. All of our constituents throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas have benefited from this. 72,000 households. Speaker, this F&M government, via the Resilience Bahamas Plan, committed to sustaining the domestic economy and to relieve the economic burdens on every citizen. Whether you be in Tall Pines, whether you be in Mount Moriah, whether you be in Campbell, every citizen. And again, Mr. Speaker, to this end, we have invested $45 million in business contingency loans and grants, and $83.5 million in construction projects to supplement this economy. And so, Mr. Speaker, finally, on this point, it is important to note that the plan clearly expressed that this free national movement government intends to use this challenging period, this period that we all, did and others, but we're going to use this period in our social and economic history to accelerate economic and public governance reform, and prepare this country for a stronger, Prime Minister's words, a stronger and robust rebound. This is evident today, Mr. Speaker, by the significant progress in digital transformation and advancing key public financial management legislative reforms already in play today, and which are in the pipelines in the future, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if we look at the COVID-19 globally, Mr. Speaker, and I'm no economist or accountant, but based on the Prime Minister's report and my personal research, Mr. Speaker, the general assumption is that the COVID-19 restoration would be gradually lifted in the Bahamas and worldwide. The current future rollout of the vaccination programs worldwide and the world economy is expected, therefore, Mr. Speaker, to rebound at an estimated 5.5% growth in 2001 and 44.2% in 2021 and 4.2% in 2022. Mr. Speaker, I'm no economist. That's just from the research of the Prime Minister said and what I found in my research. But we are advised by this F&M government that is in line with the anticipated improvement in the global economic conditions of 2021. Mr. Speaker, while we're on this issue of money, I think this is very important to reiterate to our Bahamian people that the Prime Minister said, and I'm happy he said this because this is something that a lot of Bahamians was concerned about. He says that this government's guiding principle is to remain focused on ensuring that our Bahamian dollar does not devalue, remain strong. And that's very important to come from a Minister of Finance. That's very important to come from a Prime Minister during these challenging times. And so, Mr. Speaker, during these times, while many of Bahamians may be concerned about the economy, I want them to remember prior to COVID, prior to the hurricane, how this F&M government was dealing with the economy. We were at record levels, Mr. Speaker. First time in decades of reaching to the point of balancing a budget. We were showing the Bahamian people that a government could actually be fiscally responsible, could actually turn around an economy during challenging times. And that's why I'm so proud, Mr. Speaker, to say that I'm an F&M. I'm so proud to say, Mr. Speaker, that I'm a part of a team that's dedicated to nation building. That's dedicated, Mr. Speaker, to helping the poor, that's dedicating, Mr. Speaker, to making sure that all of our young people, and I want to say to the member of Central Grand Bahama, I'm behind you in helping our young people. I want to say to all of our ministers that this member for Tall Pines is behind all of our departments and our ministries. The building a stronger Bahamas, the rebounding, becoming back out of this crisis stronger than before. Speaker, stronger than before. Speaker, we know that our revenue, Mr. Speaker, to this report has been reduced. And we know that that's because, Mr. Speaker, of the reduction in collection of VAT and excess taxes. And I think most countries throughout the world are experiencing the same thing. That our revenue was reduced because of our commitment to our people, our commitment to extend the special economic recovery zone, right? We wanted to show our commitment to the inner cities, our commitment to the Family Islands and Grand Bahama and in Abaco. We would take the loss. Me as a member of Parliament for Tall Pines, as a resident of New Providence, I would take the loss for my friends and my family, my citizens in Abaco. I would take the loss and the sacrifice to my family and friends and citizens in Grand Bahama. I would take the loss for every Bahamian, no matter where they are in the Bahamas. And so this special economic recovery zone, Mr. Speaker, we decided to extend that to help our people. That's what an F&M government does. That's when we show that we care about our people. We would make the sacrifices. We would make the sacrifices. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, I'm convinced that whenever the bell is rung, that the F&M would be even stronger than we are today. We accept that we have not been perfect. We accept, Mr. Speaker, that we have not been perfect. I don't know any government in any part of the world that could say that they've been perfect during these challenging times. But Mr. Speaker, I want to say that this Free National Movement government have shown persons in Tall Pines, we've shown persons throughout the Bahamas that we're committed to them and that we're committed to a stronger economy. And that is what this midterm budget evidence. Mr. Speaker, I want this House and the Bahamas to know that this government has committed itself to some very serious measures in terms of health care, Speaker. Subsidiaries and transfers of non-financial public corporations increased, Mr. Speaker. Yes, it did increase to $205.7 million to support operational costs because of COVID. Mr. Speaker, $117.1 million to the Public Health Authority, $34.8 million to subsidize Bahamas Air, $19 million to the National Health Insurance, $15.2 million to the Water and Sewage Corporation. And I want to congratulate the member for Long Island. Speaker, he's a David. I want to congratulate him, Mr. Speaker, as I listen to his contribution to the work that he is doing in the Family Islands. I grew up in Exuma, Mr. Speaker. I grew up in Exuma when, and that's one of the reasons I always tell people I couldn't be a PLP, because I grew up in Exuma, Mr. Speaker. Seriously, on a serious note. George Smith Street, Eddie, if you wasn't a PLP, you know, Frank, sorry, you know Southern Shores. If you wasn't a PLP in the Family Islands, Mr. Speaker, your children wasn't going to university, they wasn't getting a job, and you definitely wasn't getting fed.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Golden Eye.
The member for Tall Pines, and his exuberance. I was allowing him to carry on, but those remarks, I think, go beyond, and he needs to. So, I'm certain there are persons other than PLPs who have benefited. I understand what he's trying to say, but in his emotion, he got carried away. So tell him, please contain himself and speak the truth. Continue to be truthful.
All right, Mr. Speaker. Well, Mr. Speaker, let me rephrase what I said, Mr. Speaker. And by many years at Exuma, Mr. Speaker, I know of very little to no persons who were not PLPs that got anything from the government. Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking from my experience in Exuma. You ever live in the farm? Yeah, I guess you did. You ever lived in Exuma? I'm speaking from my experience in Exuma.
he said family islands. Yeah, he said family islands. Okay. Now, obviously, he's referring to his experience in Exuma. Okay. And I'm from a family island. You're from a family island. Other persons from family island. I understand what he's trying to say, but tell him contain himself. Don't get carried away. Contain himself.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not getting carried away. I'm telling you from my experience, and if you ask anyone who lived in the Bahamas in the 1980s and the 1990s, I'm in Exuma. I used to go to Andres every summer. I traveled the Bahamas, Mr. Speaker. The history will reflect that the PLP is the government of proving itself as the government of victimization. And if you wasn't a PLP, Mr. Speaker, you wasn't getting them. I live it. Mr. Speaker, I'm standing by my words that this F&M government, after gaining the government in 1992, spin this country around, open the airwaves, got rid of at the level far. Our strive, Mr. Speaker, was to get rid of the term victimization in the Bahamas. We helped everyone. I sat in meetings with the former Prime Minister, Dr. Hugh, and I heard persons approach him and said, well, let's happen. And he constantly said, we are here to represent all Bahamians. The F&M approach was distinctly different than the PLP approach. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, I said, if I ever stand in this place, I am standing as an F&M, never, ever a PLP.
I know.
Mr. Speaker, I was talking about the good member for Long Island, Mr. Speaker. I want to just...
I know everybody on.
Mr. Speaker, I was speaking of the yeoman...
I ain't talking about you.
Speaker, the member for Pine Ridge is right next to me, and I know... he's my boy. Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking of the yeoman response to national development from the member for Long Island. Speaker, a young Bahamian, Mr. Speaker, what is out of order, Mr. Speaker, for the member for Golden Isles, is when a deputy leader of a political party that served in the government was Minister of Works, and in 3 years, the young member, the energetic member from Long Island, lay more pipe than him in 3 years, and he been in government for 35 years, did more work as the executive chairman of Water and Sewage than in my view, Mr. Speaker, than what that Minister of Works did in his 5 years as Deputy Prime Minister and Ministers of Works, not only in the other family islands, but even in Cat Island. Mr. Speaker, I support the work that is going on in our family islands in terms of infrastructural development. I remember, Mr. Speaker, about 2 years ago, Mr. Speaker, I know the member of Golden Isles would have been right here banging when I said that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank the member. Mr. Speaker, social assistance, Mr. Speaker. Social assistance, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you look in the dictionary for victimization, I would put it to you, PLP would be right there.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Golden Isles.
Please, Mr. Speaker, that remark, I think is unparliamentary. It's rude, it's disgusting, and he should know better than that. And he should do better, and he should retract it. That is wrong. That is insulting.
Mr. Service, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Tall Pines.
Mr. Speaker.
With respect to
I would, Mr.
you
Speaker.
Attributing the definition of victimization to a political organization, I would recommend that you withdraw that.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I would withdraw that. I would withdraw that statement. But I you say what? Check Google. But Speaker, the point I'm trying to make. Mr. Speaker, Hey, Mr. Speaker, I think I have an hour, right? I only trying to, if the member, he's a new member of the PLP, I don't know why he's getting all excited. I know he's the only one here, and he's trying to. I would think I haven't said anything on parliamentary. He's a new member of the PLP.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Golden Isles on a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, this is not about being a member of the Progressive Party, you know. This is about being a member of this honorable house. This is an honorable place. And he's the deputy speaker. He should demonstrate. No. That's still his position. He's the member. I'm sure the people of Tall Pines are not proud of what he's saying now. Mr. Speaker, all I'm saying.
Honorable members, only one member on the floor.
This is an honorable house. It's an honorable place. There's a decorum, and he should abide by it. Thank you.
I'm very well aware of my responsibilities in this house. Mr. Speaker, all I said, Mr. Speaker, all I'm saying, and I'm sorry.
Don't repeat that.
I'm not going to repeat it. All I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, is that there's much to be desired of the representation of the PLP during their term in office, and and from my own personal experience in the way they assisted and looked after persons who are not members of their party leaves much to be desired. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I decided to make a conscious decision to be a member of the Free National Movement, and I'm happy for making that decision. I'm sorry if it offends the member of Golden Isles, and I can assure him that the people of Tall Pines, they respect me and they understand exactly where I'm coming from. Now, Mr. Speaker, I was speaking about social assistance. I'm not going to be, I'm talking about social assistance and the benefits that this government, through its service to the people, $91.6 million increase. A social assistance benefit, Mr. Speaker, increased from $91.6 million to $104.4 million compared to the same period in the previous year. Now, Mr. Speaker, this is, as I said, due to our contributions, Mr. Speaker, NIB, the Food Assistance Program, Social Services Program, Speaker. Speaker, we are mindful during these economic downturn, such as now, that the government can and should help stimulate economic activities through targeted infrastructure and other capital spending. And that's why I congratulated the good member for Long Island. Mr. Speaker, during the first half of this year, capital spending contracted compared to this period, the prior period,
Honorable members,
they're not.
The member for Tall Pines has the floor.
During the first half of the year, capital spending contracted compared to the prior year. However, Mr. Speaker, spending in physical infrastructure expanded by $10.1 million to $83.5 million. And includes, Mr. Speaker, and I see North Andros and the Berry Islands here. I think he got a big chunk of this, Mr. Speaker. It includes $3.2 million on bridges. I think the member for Carmichael spoke about this government in this term have built more bridges, Speaker, in the short term than I think any government in the history of this Bahamas, Mr. Speaker. Abaco, Long Island, North Andros, Eleuthera is getting its glass, not even in a part of $3.2 million. Speaker, $4.5 million on New Providence roads, and Tall Pines got a bit of that. All of our constituencies, I think, in New Providence got a bit of that. $3.1 million on airport repairs and upgrades. I think Long Island getting a little piece. Exuma getting a little piece. Eleuthera, I believe, getting a little piece. And then we're going to deal with Grand Bahama, Mr. Speaker.
Fast, quick, in a hurry.
Speaker, I am proud of this F&M government. I am proud that I made the decision to become an F&M. So they could talk as much as they want to talk, Mr. Speaker, about what we are doing. The proof, Mr. Speaker, is in the pudding. The proof, Mr. Speaker. But friend, I already got my nomination, and I got ratified because I did my work, Mr. Speaker. And on that road, I'm gonna go right into the work we did in Tall Pines. Thank you, Pine Ridge. Thank you, Pine Ridge. I want to thank Pine Ridge, Mr. Speaker, for guiding me into my debate into Tall Pines, because he represents a constituency that I see somebody's face in my constituency. And I think he was the former member of parliament from the gentleman that I'm sure that you defeated. And I asked persons, you know, it's a funny thing, you know, a member was the minister, substantive minister for Grand Bahama. The whole island. 5 seats in Grand Bahama, Mr. Speaker. 5 seats. Why is his picture up in Tall Pines? 5 seats in Grand Bahama, the substantive minister for Grand Bahama, and you think the PLP can't send him to represent one of those seats? What I can tell you, Mr. Speaker?
Before y'all break.
Mr. Speaker,
Before y'all break, I can chase them out. Too.
whoever comes in Tall Pines, Mr. Speaker.
Bring her. Bring her. And I will chase her too. Bring her. And I will chase her. It's become a family affair.
Speaker, Mr. Speaker.
That's all right there.
Speaker.
Honorable members.
Family affair. Bring her.
I know, Mr. Speaker. I brought up Pine Ridge and I brought up Tall Pines, and everybody got excited. Speaker,
I know more than you think I know.
I asked Pine Ridge, you know. Mr. Speaker, I have the privilege. Mr. Speaker, to sit next to Pine Ridge. Mr. Speaker, Pine Ridge is next to me. I'm trying to make this point because I want Pine Ridge to hear this. Tall Pines, I have the privilege to sit next to the new member of Pine Ridge, the fellow who defeated somebody whose face is popping up around Tall Pines. I asked this good member, and I asked many people in Grand Bahama, what that minister could show that he did in Pine Ridge, and nobody could give me an answer yet. So I don't know why he could spend 5 years in Pine Ridge and think that he could come to New Providence and do any better. Him and the member of Cat Island must be good friends. That's all I can say. But Mr. Speaker, I am going to run, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Free National Movement, the Executive Committee, the Council, for ratifying my name, myself as the person running again in Tall Pines. I'm privileged, Mr. Speaker, to continue to serve the people of Tall Pines. And I always say, Mr. Speaker, whoever comes, I'm going to run on my record, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I'm going to run on my record.
He's a smart man. That's why he comes.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know. I love Pine Ridge, but I can't compete against. Speaker, I am going to run on my record, Mr. Speaker. When I walk the street of Tall Pines, notwithstanding everybody is saying, Don, you're going up against another giant. You run Golden Gate. I said, you know what? I'm running with a team, though. I'm running with a team that I feel confident in. I feel confident in the leadership of the Free National Movement. Certain promises was made as I walked before we won the election. I walked the streets of Tall Pines, Mr. Speaker. I got what their concerns were. I put it together in a plan, Mr. Speaker. And if you look in the back of and I challenge anyone in Tall Pines, look at the back. Speaker, we said, Mr. Speaker, that we would deal with the environment. We said that we would deal with the environment because, Mr. Speaker, the landfill, which is called the dump, was on fire for years and years. And I promised them that would be a commitment that would be priority number 1. And Mr. Speaker, in less than 2 years, a year and a half, we delivered. The Free National Movement delivered. The Free National Movement and Dawn Sanders, your current member of parliament, your next member of parliament, we delivered. Because we cared, Mr. Speaker. We cared about their health, their safety, their communities. The fact, Mr. Speaker, that homes in Tall Pines were the value of being depreciated because of the landfill, the dump, smoke. Nobody wanted to buy homes in Tall Pines in that area. The value is going down. The most important investment to my citizenry, my constituents. But Mr. Speaker, this Free National Movement government, I want to thank the member for Marathon for his commitment. I want to thank the government of Bahamas because we delivered. And when lady told me last week, and I said it, Mr. Speaker, on a talk show, that the lady said, Mr. Saunders, if there's only one thing, and I know there's many things you did, that I'm going to vote for you again for, is because in 1.5 years, you and your government, you all delivered in making my community safer, saving the value of my home. And not only this community of Tall Pines, but the entire New Providence, the Turk product, the whole Western New Providence, Cable Beach, our Mecca tourism area. If only that, Mr. Speaker, she said, I will go to the polls and I would put my ex next to Dawn Sanders in the Free National Movement. And I thank them, Mr. Speaker. And so, Mr. Speaker, we talked about crime. And Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for Mount Moriah, because one of the commitments I made is I would work with our community associations in Torrey Pines. Mr. Speaker, we've worked with the Jubilee Garden Association, the Fire Trail Road Association, and so many others, right? And we said that we're going to address their needs in terms of helping them organize and support their Crime Watch Association. And the member for Mount Moriah and the police force, they've done a wonderful job. The police is working with that that national initiative, Mr. Speaker, that's not only been great and successful in the Bahamas, but have gotten international recognition. And the Torrey Pines, the Jubilee Gardens Association, was acknowledged and won an award, actually, internationally, Mr. Speaker, for their work. And I'm proud, Mr. Speaker. And when that association, the Jubilee said, listen, Mr. Saunders, we need the park to be addressed, we clean up the park, fix up the kitchen and the bathrooms. They said that the signage in Jubilee Gardens was down for 110 years. That's an exaggeration, Mr. Speaker. But for many, many years, Mr. Speaker, we worked with them in putting signage in Jubilee Gardens. They said that the entrance to Jubilee Gardens was dark. We worked with them and we put up lights. We used our constituency funds to put up lights, put the signage in the community, fix up the bathrooms and kitchens on the park. Mr. Speaker, just 2 weeks ago, we cleared an area that we're going to make a community farm. We plant trees already right there, Mr. Speaker. We worked with the Fire Trail Association, Crime Watch Association. They said that they needed signage in Hunt's Close. We put up the signs there last week, Mr. Speaker. They said they needed signs at Campbell's Estates. We put up the signs there, Mr. Speaker. They said they needed signs. And Ross Davis Estate, Mr. Speaker. We put up the signs there, Mr. Speaker. Strong's Hill said they needed a park. We built a new park from our constituency grant in Strong's Hill.
You don't treat him right. He's a good MP.
We built a new park from our constituency funds in Victoria Gardens. We built a new park in Doris Johnson Estate from our constituency funds. We renovated or did work on the park in Ophelia Gardens, Mr. Speaker. We have done our work in Torrey Pines as it relates to green spaces, Mr. Speaker. So we have the landfill. We have the green space. We have the working with the community association. They said that they wanted some work to be done with their young people, Mr. Speaker. There was no constituency office in Torrey Pines. Yeah. We made it our business to make sure that when they want to see their MP, that I would be there. That someone would be there to get their concern. Yeah. We not only had a constituency office, Mr. Speaker, we made this constituency office a homework center, a computer center. We have laptops there, Mr. Speaker, for young persons when they want to come and use the computers. We have persons there to assist them with their homework when they need it, Mr. Speaker. We had to reduce some of the works in that regard after the COVID, but we intend, as we fight this COVID and defeat this COVID pandemic, to reintroduce it, Mr. Speaker.
That's transformative.
Speaker, we had a basketball tournament for our young people. We've given them scholarships to do online courses, Speaker. We've had legal aid clinics. We've had Zoom meetings touching and directing our young Bahamians and old to opportunities in education, to opportunities available in social services. We've helped our people, Mr. Speaker. And I want to say to them that it is my intention to continue to do that. We intend to develop a BJC, BGCSE class, preparation classes in the coming weeks. We gave out dozens of tablets to our constituents, not through the Ministry of Education, we, through our constituency funds, gave out dozens of tablets, Mr. Speaker. We helped our senior citizens, gave out special gift packages, recognized 8 women last year for their contribution to our society. We intend to do it next month. We've had extensive cleanup programs through every community in Torrey Pines, every community. Dozens and dozens of cars, derelict cars moved off our streets. High Tree Estate, Mr. Speaker, and I'm speaking all of these on different communities in Torrey Pines. High Tree Estate had a derelict building on the corner. I don't know, right there, corner where Island Luck is by the gas station. High Tree Estate. There's a derelict building there, and each one of these communities, Mr. Speaker, what they asked for, Mr. Speaker, I could go back to them and I haven't been 100%, but I could go back to them and I could say at least 70% of the things that they wanted done, they got done. They were asking that building to be torn down for years, and I want to thank the minister for works, for assisting in getting that derelict building torn down. We also helped them renovate that park. We worked with that association, the High Tree Estate Association, to renovate their park. We have done our work in Torrey Pines, Mr. Speaker, and that's why I'm confident. Whether they come from Grand Bahama, wherever they come from, if they want to re-erect themselves from the dead, Mr. Speaker, we will be victorious in Torrey Pines in the next general election. Mr. Speaker, time would not permit me to talk about some of the other projects that we have done at Tall Pines. I'll have other opportunities to do that. But I want to say to every constituent in Tall Pines, I've not met every resident since the last general election. We've had hurricanes, we've had COVID-19. But we've made ourselves available through our constituency office. We've made ourselves available through the various numerous meet and greets we've had throughout the community. And I want to say to them that our phone lines are still open, our community center is still open, and I'll be more than happy to meet with them. I meet dozens of residents every Monday and during the week on appointments. I'm prepared to meet them. So if you have not seen me, don't be worried. I will see you in the coming weeks. I will continue to represent you as best as I can. I will continue to fight for you. Olga Avenue, you asked for speed bumps and that dangerous curve. We fixed that last week. Thank you, Minister of Works. Put down speed bumps and signage there. We are working in all of these communities. But I want to continue to do that for you. I want to continue to show my commitment to not only Tall Pines, but this country. I want you to stay focused on the goal of a better Bahamas and the team, the political team that will take you to the finish line, Central Grand Bahama. To the finish line would be the F&M. The team that's shown fiscal responsibility over and over and over again, even during challenging times, have been the F&M. The team that's been committed to social services, to education, to policing and safety of our communities have been and is the F&M. The party in the government that's been committed to building and strengthening the economies of our family islands have and is the F&M. The F&M has proven itself over and over and over and over again that we're the best choice. We're the best team to govern this country. I'm proud to be a member of this team. I'm proud to be the standard bearer in the next election. And I look forward, Mr. Speaker, to being an even better MP. I'm looking forward to bringing even greater success stories out of the great constituency of Tall Pines. I'm looking forward to meeting the concerns, addressing the concerns, and tackling those concerns on a daily basis. I'm looking forward to continuing to be your representative, to fight for you in this House, Mr. Speaker. I think, and I say this respectfully, I don't think there's much backbenches or front benches that's spoken on issues and debated bills as I have represented in this House, the people of Tall Pines. Yes, sometimes I have challenged the government, but that's my job. But one thing I can say is that this government, nonetheless, have delivered for us. This government has stood with us, and this government supports your member of parliament. That's why the landfill was fixed. That's why all the successes that I've talked about have been able to be accomplished, because this free national movement supports Don Sanders. This free national movement supports the works that's carrying on in Tall Pines, and this free national movement should be, and I'm convinced will be your choice when the next general election is called. Mr. Speaker, I'm a proud F&M. I thank this Prime Minister. I thank this free national movement government for a job well done. I look forward to the budget debate in the coming months to continue to tell the success story of Tall Pines, to continue to tell the success story of this free national movement government. This member of parliament for Tall Pines, who will be re-elected as the member of parliament for Tall Pines, supports this midterm budget. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for your time. Thank you, Tall Pines, for your support. I love you, Tall Pines.
Thank you, Honorable Member. As many?
For the Minister of Education on Monday morning.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The chair recognizes Honorable Bamboo Tower.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will now move that the business of this House do suspend until Monday, the 8th of March at 10 a.m.
Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that the business of this House suspend until 10 a.m. Monday, the 8th of March. As many members that are in favor will remain seated. Those who oppose will stand. The business of this House stands suspended until Monday, 10 a.m., the 8th of March, 2021.